I wasn't allowed to see my own face. Not once, not ever, until the day everything fell apart. I grew up deep in the Appalachian wilderness, in a cabin my mother claimed to have built herself. Looking back, I think she just found it abandoned and fixed it up. Winters were brutal. We huddled under one blanket just to survive the cold. Summers were humid enough to make the wood sweat, so we slept outside instead, swatting mosquitoes through nets made of old fabric. Our days were survival. Mom hunted. I gathered firewood and berries. Sometimes we sang or she read to me from her small stack of books, but mostly we worked. And every single day, I wore a mask. White cotton with eye holes I constantly had to adjust. It soaked with sweat within an hour. The only time it ever came off was during baths, and even then, I never got a clear look at my own reflection. I used to wonder if my mother had ever really seen my face. I learned early never to ask. Her only answer was always the same. If I took off the mask in front of someone, something bad would happen. I trusted her. For a long time, I trusted her completely. But there are memories from those years that still haunt me. I remember being 4, maybe 6, playing in the garden while my mother did laundry nearby. We kept rabbits in a cage for meat. She always told me not to name them. I named them anyway. One rabbit, Daisy, used to stare at me, really look at me unlike the others who cowered. One day, alone with her, I untied my mask and let it fall. She kept staring, didn't flinch, didn't recoil. For the first time in my life, something looked at my real face and didn't react with horror. It felt euphoric. Then my mother's voice cracked across the yard. She grabbed me, struck the back of my head hard enough to blur my vision, and screamed at me to put the mask back on. We ate Daisy that night. I remember my mother pulling a leg off the rabbit and putting it on my plate. "Eat," she said. I cried inside my mask and forced myself to swallow. "Do you understand what could happen if I ever accidentally saw your face?" she asked. "No," I said, "you won't tell me." Her only answer, as always, something bad. Years passed. I got a new mask, thicker cloth, better ventilation. I was 8 or 9 when everything started to change. While gathering berries one summer day, I found a bush that moved. Inside it was a girl my age. Blonde hair full of leaves, blue eyes. A stranger, the first person besides my mother I'd ever seen in my entire life. "Why are you wearing a mask?" she asked, laughing. "Are you a superhero?" She handed me a Spider-Man comic. I didn't understand the reference. I'd never even heard of superheroes. Her father appeared behind her, a bearded man named Monty. My mother came out of the trees with a bow raised, terrified, defensive. After a tense standoff, she warned them to stay off her land. But I couldn't stop thinking about the girl, Jamie. Over the following weeks, I started sneaking out at night while my mother slept, meeting Jamie near her family's RV. We talked about everything: movies, books, school, her parents' divorce. She knew so much about a world I'd never seen. She asked about my mask eventually. "My mom says something bad will happen," I told her. "Works for me," she said, and helped me up like it was nothing. We met for over a year without getting caught until my mother found out. She was furious, terrified even. She told me people couldn't be trusted. "Friends don't keep secrets," I told her. "You never tell me anything." She had no answer. Eventually, she just said, "Keep playing with her if you want, just keep your mask on." Another year passed. Jamie and I grew closer. I taught her how to survive in the woods, how to track animals, identify plants, shoot a bow. I remember standing behind her, guiding her arms, teaching her to aim. Her hair smelled like sweat and dirt. I liked it. Then one afternoon, everything shifted. Jamie told me she wanted to go home, that her father had taken her from her mother, that she missed her old life. And then she said something that terrified and thrilled me at once. "I want you to come with me." "I can't leave," I said. "Your mom's lying," she told me. "Just like my dad, I bet nothing happens if you take off that mask right now." She reached for the twine at my neck. I let her. The mask came off. Sunlight hit my bare face for what felt like the first time in my life. "See," she said, "nothing happened, and you don't have any hideous scars." Then she kissed me. We agreed to run away together that same night. She told me to meet her when the moon reached the center of the sky. But as we walked back toward the campsite, she stopped, went rigid. Her whole body froze. "Jamie." She turned to me, eyes wide, mouth clenched shut. Then she pulled a pocket knife from her side and pressed it against her cheek. I screamed as she dragged the blade down her face. I ran to stop her. She kicked me to the ground and kept cutting, slicing through her own skin again and again while I lay helpless. Her father, Monty, came running at the sound of my scream. He saw what she'd done, and without hesitation, he pulled out his own knife and began cutting his face in the exact same pattern. I turned back to Jamie. Her face was gone. Just raw muscle, empty eye sockets still blinking, teeth exposed where her lips had been. She lifted something in her hand toward me. I ran as fast as I could, pulling my mask back over my face as I fled through the trees. When I reached the cabin, my mother found me sobbing, my mask soaked through with tears. "Did she see your face?" she asked, already knowing the answer. "They're still alive," I said. "We can help them." "It's too late for them, son." I finally asked the question that had haunted me my whole life. "When you said something bad would happen if someone saw my face, you didn't mean something bad would happen to me, did you?" That night, my mother finally told me the truth. Where she grew up, there were old stories, folklore about things in the forest that only revealed themselves when they wanted to be seen. Spirits, monsters. The locals called them face stealers. She told me she'd once found a man in the woods with his face completely removed, nothing left but teeth and ears. And nearby, a small child, alone, naked, a pile of skin on the ground beside him like some grotesque nest. That child was me. She wrapped me in her shirt and carried me deeper into the woods, and she never looked back. "I don't know who left you there," she said, "or why." Then she asked me the one question I couldn't answer honestly. "When your friend did what she did you like it?" I told myself no, but that wasn't entirely true. Later, I went back to where Jamie and her father lay in the grass. I found her face on the ground, small, pink, already being picked at by insects. I picked it up, and for one terrible moment, holding it in my hands, I felt something close to peace, close to joy, a calm I'd never known before. Then the horror caught up with me, and I dropped it and ran. For days afterward, I swung between grief and a strange, aching hunger I didn't understand. The guilt of killing my only friend never faded, but neither did the memory of that euphoria. It became a craving, something that grew hungrier the longer I ignored it. One day, I caught myself removing my mask behind my mother while she worked in the garden. She turned, saw the fear rise in my own eyes reflected back in hers. She started sleeping with a chair against her door. That night, I found a leather needle in her craft room. I took thread, and I sewed the mask directly into my own skin, determined never to let it come off again, never to hurt anyone the way I'd hurt Jamie. That was a long time ago. These days, my apartment overlooks a busy downtown skyline. It's been almost 10 years since I left the woods. My mother passed away not long after I did. I still wear a mask, thinner now, more convincing. Milky white plastic that mimics real skin almost perfectly. I've spent a decade perfecting the craft. People rarely notice anything wrong, maybe a strange sheen, maybe a hairline seam near the lips. They look away and assume it was nothing. In my closet, there's a leather box I sometimes take out just to look inside. 23 faces. I've kept almost all of them. The only one I never managed to keep was Jamie's.